You know, people always ask me if I ever saw it coming. They want to know if there were signs, red flags, moments where I should have known. And I tell them the same thing every time. Of course there were. But when you love someone, I mean really love them, you don't see the signs for what they are. You see them as background noise, little glitches in an otherwise perfect system. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that for 6 years, I thought I knew exactly who I was sharing my life with. Sarah, that was her name. Sarah, with the dark hair that caught the light just right when she leaned over her morning coffee. Sarah, who hummed old jazz songs while she cooked dinner. Sarah, who told me every single day that I was her person, her safe place, her home. We met in a bookstore. How cliché is that? I was reaching for a copy of The Count of Monte Cristo. Ironic, I know. And our hands touched on the spine at the exact same moment. She laughed. I laughed. We went for coffee. 3 months later, we moved in together. A year after that, I asked her to marry me in that same bookstore, in that same aisle, holding that same book. She said yes. Our life was ordinary, beautifully, perfectly ordinary. I worked as an architect, designing office buildings and residential complexes. She was a marketing consultant, always traveling for client meetings, always on her phone, always busy. But we made it work. Sunday mornings were ours. No phones, no work, just pancakes and old movies and her head on my shoulder. I remember thinking, on our 5th anniversary, that I was the luckiest man alive. That was 8 months before everything changed. The first time I noticed something was off, it was a Thursday. I remember because Thursdays were her late nights. She had a standing client meeting that usually ran until 8 or 9. I'd gotten home early from a site visit, ordered Thai food, and was setting the table when I heard her key in the lock. It was only 6:30. "Hey," I called out, surprised. "You're home early." She froze, just for a second. It was so brief I almost didn't catch it. Then she smiled, dropped her bag, and walked over to kiss my cheek. "Meeting got canceled," she said. Her voice was light, casual, normal. But her eyes weren't looking at me, they were looking past me, at nothing in particular. "That's great," I said, handing her a plate. "More time for us." "Yeah." She pulled out her phone, scrolling as she sat down. "Actually, I need to jump on a call in a bit. Just a quick one." The call lasted 2 hours. I didn't think much of it. Not then. Work was work. She was ambitious. That's one of the things I loved about her. But then it happened again, and again. Tuesday afternoons, Saturday mornings, random times when she'd get a text and her whole face would shift. Not into worry or stress, into something else. Something I couldn't quite name. Anticipation, maybe. I started paying attention. It's funny how you can live with someone for years and never truly watch them. Not really. You see them, sure. You interact. But you don't study them the way I started studying Sarah. The way she tilted her phone away from me when she typed. The way she started closing the bathroom door when she showered, even though she never had before. The way she'd gotten a second phone. Just for work, she said. That she kept in her purse at all times. Small things. Tiny, insignificant things. Except they weren't. The moment everything crystallized, the moment I knew, happened on a rainy Wednesday in October. Sarah was in the shower. I was in the kitchen making coffee when I heard her phone buzz on the counter. The personal phone, not the work one. I glanced at it out of habit, expecting to see a notification from her mom or her college friend Lisa. Instead, I saw a name I didn't recognize. Marcus. The preview read, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Wear that dress I like." My hand stopped mid-pour. Coffee overflowed the mug, pooling on the counter, but I didn't move. I just stared at those words, watching them burn themselves into my brain, letter by letter. Wear that dress I like. Not a dress. That dress. I like. Familiarity, intimacy, possession. I heard the shower turn off. Without thinking, I wiped up the coffee, finished pouring, and walked to the bedroom like nothing had happened. When Sarah came out, towel wrapped around her hair, skin still damp and flushed, I handed her a mug. "Thanks, babe," she said, smiling that smile I'd fallen in love with. And I smiled back, because in that moment, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her. I wasn't going to yell or demand answers or cause a scene. No, I was going to wait. I was going to watch, and I was going to make absolutely certain before I did anything at all. Patience, I realized, was going to be my greatest weapon. The next 3 weeks were the longest of my life. I became a ghost in my own home. I went through all the motions, work, dinner, conversations, laughter, but inside I was somewhere else entirely. Watching, recording, learning. I noticed she'd started going to the gym more. 3 times a week became 5. She bought new workout clothes, expensive ones, the kind you don't buy for running on a treadmill alone. She changed her passwords, all of them. Her laptop, her phone, even the Netflix account we shared. When I asked about it casually one night, "Hey, what's the new Netflix password?" She blinked at me like I'd asked her to solve a differential equation. "Oh," she said, "I'll text it to you." She never did. Subscribe now and comment where you're watching from so I know how far my story goes. Back to my story. I started checking her routines without her knowing. Not in an obvious way. I wasn't going through her things or hiring a private investigator. I just paid attention to the small details, the inconsistencies, like how she said she was meeting Lisa for brunch on Saturday. But when I casually mentioned it to Lisa at a party 2 days later, Lisa looked confused. Brunch? No, I was out of town last weekend. Or how she'd started buying lingerie. Not for me. She never wore it around me, but I'd see it in the laundry, delicate and lacy and expensive, and wonder where it had been. Who had seen it? I started testing her, little experiments in trust. "Hey," I said one evening, "want to grab dinner tomorrow? That Italian place you love?" "Can't," she said without looking up from her phone. "Work thing." "On a Friday night?" "Yeah, client dinner, you know how it is." "Right." The next day, I drove past her office at 7 p.m. Her car wasn't there. I called her at 8. "Hey, how's the dinner going?" "Oh, it's good," she said. Her voice was muffled like she was covering the phone. "Loud restaurant, I'll call you back when I'm done, okay?" "Sure. Love you." "Love you too." Except I could hear music in the background. Not restaurant music, not business dinner music, jazz. Slow, intimate, the kind you play in dimly lit bars with velvet booths and candles on every table. I hung up and sat in my car for 20 minutes, hands on the steering wheel, breathing slowly, in through the nose, out through the mouth, staying calm, staying controlled. Because losing control meant losing the upper hand, and I wasn't going to lose. 2 days later, I did something I'm not proud of. I installed a tracking app on her phone. It took 30 seconds while she was in the shower. 30 seconds, and suddenly I had access to everywhere she went, everyone she texted, every lie she told. And oh, were there lies. Thursday night client meetings were actually dinners at a steakhouse across town. Saturday morning gym sessions were brunches at a cafe I'd never heard of. And every single time the location matched with another phone, one registered to a man named Marcus Chen. I looked him up. Social media, LinkedIn, everything. He was a software consultant, 42, divorced. Good-looking in that generic, unremarkable way. The kind of guy who wore expensive watches and posted pictures of himself hiking. The kind of guy who'd told my fiancée to wear that dress he liked. I could have confronted her then. I had the evidence, I had the proof, but that wasn't enough. Because ending it, screaming, crying, breaking things, that would have given her an out, a way to spin it, to make me the villain for spying on her. No, I needed her to confess, willingly, without coercion. I needed her to destroy herself. So I started planting seeds. It began small. A comment here, a question there. You seem stressed lately, everything okay? Or, you've been working so much, I miss you. Gentle, concerned, loving. She'd brush it off. I'm fine, babe, just a busy season. But I could see it working. The guilt creeping in at the edges, the way she'd hug me a little longer, kiss me a little harder, trying to convince herself she wasn't a bad person. Then I escalated. I started being extra attentive. Flowers on random Tuesdays, her favorite takeout on late nights, little notes in her bag. Thinking of you, you're amazing, she cried when she found the first one. You're too good to me, she whispered, holding the note against her chest. You deserve it, I said, and I meant it. She deserved every ounce of guilt I could pour into her. I also started talking about the future, casually, strategically. I was thinking, I said one Sunday morning, maybe we should finally set a wedding date. It's been long enough, right? She went pale, actually pale, like the blood had drained straight out of her face. Yeah, she said after a long pause. Yeah, we should. But we didn't. Every time I brought it up after that, she had an excuse. Work was crazy. She wanted to lose 10 pounds first. Her mom was going through a thing. Lies. All lies. And I let them pile up, one on top of the other until the weight of them was crushing her. By December, she was unraveling. I could see it in the way she moved, the way she flinched when I touched her, the way she stared at her phone like it was a bomb about to go off. Good. The final piece fell into place on New Year's Eve. We were supposed to go to a party. Her college friends were hosting. But that morning, she told me she wasn't feeling well. I think I'm coming down with something. You go without me. Are you sure? I asked, all concern and sympathy. Yeah, I'll just stay in and rest. I left at 7, drove to the party, stayed for an hour. Then I came home. The apartment was empty. Her car was gone. Her phone was off. And on the kitchen counter next to her coffee mug was a receipt from a hotel, the Langham, room 447. I stood there for a long time, holding that receipt, feeling the weight of it in my hand. Then I got back in my car and drove. The hotel was 20 minutes away, upscale, discreet, the kind of place people go when they want privacy, when they want to pretend their real lives don't exist. I didn't go inside. I didn't need to. I just sat in the parking lot, watching the entrance, waiting. At 11:30, she came out. She wasn't alone. Marcus was with her. His hand was on her lower back. She was laughing at something he'd said. She looked happy, radiant. The way she used to look at me. They kissed by his car, long and slow and without hesitation. And I watched it all, every second, burning it into my memory. Then I drove home, climbed into bed, and waited. She came in at 1 a.m., slipping into bed beside me, smelling like his cologne. Hey, she whispered. Feeling better? Much better, she lied. I wrapped my arm around her, pulled her close, and said, I'm glad. I love you. I love you too. And in the darkness, I smiled. The next morning, I made breakfast. Pancakes, bacon, fresh coffee. When she came into the kitchen, yawning and stretching, I handed her a plate. Happy New Year, I said. Happy New Year. We ate in comfortable silence. Then, just as she was finishing her coffee, I slid an envelope across the table. What's this? She asked. Open it. Inside were printed screenshots, every text, every location ping, every lie. And at the very bottom, a single photograph, her and Marcus kissing outside the Langham. Her face went white, then red, then white again. She started. Don't, I said. My voice was calm, level. Don't insult me by lying anymore. I know everything, Sarah. I've known for months. Tears filled her eyes. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to. Yes, you did. I stood up, collecting the dishes. You made a choice. Every single day you made that choice. Please, she whispered. Let me explain. There's nothing to explain. You wanted him. You had him, and now you have nothing. I walked to the bedroom and pulled out a suitcase, already packed with her things. I need you to leave, I said. She was sobbing now, full body shaking sobs, but I felt nothing, just cold, clear certainty. Please don't do this, she begged. I'll end it. I'll do anything. I don't want anything from you anymore. She left an hour later. No fight, no argument, just defeat. 3 days later, I sent the same evidence to Marcus's ex-wife. Turns out they were trying to reconcile. That ended quickly. A week after that, I sent it to Sarah's boss. Turns out Marcus was a client. Conflict of interest. She was let go. I didn't gloat. I didn't call her. I didn't say another word. I just moved on. People ask me if I regret it, if I wish I'd handled it differently, given her a chance, and I tell them the truth. No. Because some betrayals don't deserve forgiveness. Some people don't deserve second chances. And some revenge is best served cold, quiet, and absolutely inevitable. I sleep perfectly well at night. If you think my story worth sharing and you felt how pained I am, subscribe now as I'll be sharing more story